Willpower Zone with Will Berry.
Hey, what's up? This is Will, and welcome to the very first episode of the Willpower Zone. I'm your host, Will Berry, and we're going to cover a variety of different things on this podcast. One big thing is health and fitness, performance, law of attraction, personal development, as well as success. So let's dive in. We're going to go over a couple things today. One big thing is, how in the world did I get the nickname Willpower? Next thing after that is really some of the things we're going to dive into and some of the stories that led to me taking the opportunity to create this podcast. And then we'll cap it off with some of the bigger goals and things that I hope to accomplish with this podcast, and for you as the viewer to really take the most out of it and really create the most impact. So let's get started. So one of the biggest things, especially my nickname, Willpower. As you can tell, of course, I'm a big guy. I'm also a bodybuilder. So that kind of helped along with the whole willpower thing. But it came from, some of my people in my family, like my uncles, my aunts, and everyone. It just started just to pick up. And it also doesn't hurt when, especially you play sports. I was really big into football. And of course, when you give that thump of the crowd, it just became something that is a catchy thing. So plus, I've always been the internal type person that always loves the thirst of a challenge and always the willingness to be able to get better. My biggest journey, especially for me, with working out and pushing the limits of my body, really started at an early age of 12, and then from there kind of took off and dovetailed into the sports, of course, like I was telling you, football, basketball, track and field, and a wide variety of things. And I did that not only from high school, also into college. So it was just something that stuck. And, I kind of take that for me as, a thing to always as a reminder of what a lot of the source of my power and my mindset and what it, really has turned into, and helping me to get to the point of where I'm at today. I've more than fulfilled, but I've got a little more, especially to be able to give to you as the viewer, to give you some insight in some of the things and the stories that, I've, been able to have the opportunity to meet some amazing people and, take some nuggets and have a lot of mentors indirectly and directly that have been able to help me to be able to get through some of the toughest moments, the toughest times, and to go and accomplish some of the, things that have eluded me for a period of time and overcome a variety of different things from, weight gain and, pursuing, my passions and, pursuing a variety of different things that some successful, some not so successful, but really, I don't really, take much to that. I really just look at it as more so as an opportunity to grow, an opportunity as a lesson. That's the difference about me and more than probably many other people is that, I don't care about getting the reps that maybe didn't always hurt or didn't always look right, because the more you do something, the better that you're going to get. So just a little bit about me, of course. Yes, I'm a bodybuilder. That's another story as well that I'll also dive into. What led me to making that decision and what helped me along the way. Trust me, it wasn't an easy journey, that's for sure. It took a long time to really narrow down the discipline, because unlike other sports, like football and basketball and baseball and a variety of different things, you got to be disciplined on the other end, but sometimes you're given a little wiggle room. When it comes to bodybuilding, aesthetics, and conditioning and everything else, it's a totally different ball game. So on another podcast, I'll talk about that journey and, what helped me, which, for me, I'm always been a big mindset person. If it wasn't for kind of understanding a little bit more about myself and my own journey, I probably would have been a psychologist. But I realized, really what I wanted to dive deeper into, which is more so about the personal development and mindset and spirituality. And there's a variety of different things that kind of led me to kind of taking a different turn towards that. Plus, I really felt that it was just going to be very limiting for me and not being able to really help and guide and coach people. And yes, I'm also a life coach as well. This is something I've been doing since since middle school. He was an inspiration and something that has always kind of, as a reoccurring theme, has always kind of followed me. So I love helping people get from one place to another, and really helping them to kind of realize something's more to them than they really think. And some of the things that they actually think they can't accomplish, they really can. They can really change their life for the better. Anyone can, as long as you have the right coach and someone to give you a different perspective on life that you probably never really thought about. So one of the things that also led me to creating this podcast was really just my passion to finding out the secrets, finding out what makes the most highly successful, sought after people like the Michael Jordans, the Tom Brady's, the Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, and many, many others, the Kevin Hart's, Dave Chappelle's, and Samuel L. Jackson, some of the most successful people, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, all these individuals, they usually have certain things that separates them. Because guess what? They were just like you and I, who, when they were first starting up, they had, maybe not much to them, and they decided to be the hardest worker in the room. Dwayne "Rock" Johnson is a big example for that. So if you're willing to put the work and the time and effort into it, guess what? You get what you put your time and effort into. So, but I want to really go on this journey and really to help you as the viewer to really be able to pick up some of the things that are going to help you. Because, let's face it, during these times, right now, some of the biggest things that are a reoccurring theme is the fear that's been pumped into the media. And for me, I don't subscribe to it. It's just not something that I'm willing to do. Because I know that once you start investing into that, guess what happens? That is something that then starts to show up and manifest in your life. And I don't know about you, but if you're the type of person who is highly optimistic, who likes to crush goals, who wants to go after the life that they want and live the life of their dreams and, pursue all the things that they're destined to do, you've got to unsubscribe to that. And it's really easy. Just don't turn it on. Now, some things that are more important maybe that you may have to know about, that's great. But guarantee you, if you stay focused on developing within yourself, which guess what? The top 1%, they do that. They do that more often than anybody else. They eat, sleep, and breathe it. And that's another thing, of course, for another podcast that also I'll talk about, especially about being committed and being obsessed. And, I'll also have some stories that, really will help guide you and, and other individuals that I've gotten inspiration from that I think will really put that over the top. And you're saying, oh, that's what it takes. So one big story for me that was also kind of a big moment for me. So I got a chance to, around my sophomore going into junior year, I got a chance to go 2 years in a row to the Michael Jordan Flight School. Now, I'm here to tell you, at first I was just like, oh, wow. I looked it up and, all the amazing things you get a chance to do. And it was more than what was advertised, I'll tell you that. And I was so thankful my mom, really wanted to, for me to take the next step into my journey of pursuing sports, especially basketball. And I've always been someone who's followed Michael Jordan for many, many years. And this is an opportunity to be able to get a chance to be around my peers, get all the coaching and all the hard work, and really to be able to fine tune my game. And I got a chance to be able to do that. But the experiences of hanging out with my peers and hanging out with some really cool people, people who were in college at the time, they, from people like Luke Walton, Gilbert Arenas, Richard Jefferson, many people, they were in college at the time. These were camp counselors, mind you, future stars and Hall of Famers eventually who went on to the NBA and making a mark for themselves. They're all really down to earth, really, really super cool. And I have a super cool story about Gilbert Arenas. I'll tell that later for another podcast. But let me get back to it. So, had a unique situation. So after, going through drills in the morning and everything, and, we played a couple games, especially, around amongst my peers and everything, we came back to the main hall, where it was a big gymnasium, especially, a full court, basketball court and everything, and got a chance to hang out with Mike and many other counselors and everything. So he took an opportunity to do a teaching moment, and to show his famous from the free throw line, shooting the ball with his eyes closed. He's done that probably thousands and thousands of times. So he showed it as a demonstration to all of us, and all the kids there, from my peers and everywhere else, as well as also the people in the crowd. Of course, when he did it, everybody was like, he just makes things so effortlessly simple and easy, and it makes it almost think it's like this guy is just among the best of the best. And I do have to tell you that is very true. The guy is, he has a magnetic type of energy that is just second to none. If you've been around any highly successful people, they are just built a little bit differently. But in many cases, they were just like one of us, except they just took what they had and they took it and then 10x'd it. The quote, Grant Cardone. So let me get back to it. So he decided, okay, hey, I'm not the only person that's going to do this today. Who amongst, of course, the crowd, the kids that he was calling, especially the people that, amongst my peers and everyone else, he was saying, hey, you know what? Who's going to take that opportunity and step up? So everybody was like, oh, me. So I decided, okay, you know what? I'll raise my hand. And lo and behold, he actually chose me. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm super stoked. But then at the same time, I'm a little kind of nervous because there's a ton of people around, not only from my peers and everyone else that was around, but also the people in the stands. These were also entertainers and moms of people that, were also the kids that were going there. Also, I have to tell you a story later down the road. Some of the people that were there, some of Master P's kids were there, as well as also, looks like also Sinbad's, one of his daughters actually got a chance to attend the camp too. So it was crazy, once in a lifetime experience. So anyway, so I get up there and I was like, okay. So he kind of was just telling me, he was like, hey, concentrate, take your time, it's not a rush or anything like that. So my first attempt, I tried it, closed my eyes, shot the ball. Guess what? Air ball. Horrible. So people were like, oh. So as you could tell, the angst and the kind of nervousness started to creep up. So, but just like any other time, I always just kind of gather myself and, kind of calm the nerves and say, hey, I can do this. It's calling back to the kind of the willpower, the kind of looking within in a sense. So he kind of comes to me, he says, hey, he says, concentrate this time. He said, visualize yourself sinking this free throw shot with your eyes closed. Okay, so let's try again. Take your time, visualize the ball going in. You can do this. So I said, okay. Not understanding at the time what he was doing was something that would end up carrying me, and is an exercise that I do all the time to really help me to be able to accomplish some of the biggest tasks that I have to accomplish. So, and just as an expert tip, the right coach, someone who's been there, done that, has done it thousands upon thousands of times, will literally take your pursuits, any goals or things that you have, they'll take it to the next level if you allow them to. So, long story short, of course, tried again, took my time, concentrated, visualized myself sinking that free throw shot, and tried one more time. And just as I opened my eyes, guess what? I sink the free throw. So as you can tell, I was elated. I was on top of the world. All my peers and everything, they were like, oh, that was amazing. Oh my goodness. And everybody went crazy. The crowd, of course, was going nuts. They just thought this was just amazing. But really, yeah, it was me. But really, it was just the coaching, just the little huge tip from Mike that really helped me to visualize seeing the result before it happened. In which in many cases, that's kind of like faith, that's kind of like our beliefs and everything. It's belief in things that have not yet happened. And constantly continue to replay that over and over and over again. And then it happens for you. So it's kind of like bringing the internal world and bringing it to the external world. So I got many other stories, and that will be for other podcasts and everything else. But I wanted to wrap this up with some of the goals that I have that really, as far as for this podcast, to really interview the big time people, people who are in, performance and personal development, all the people that I look forward to, interviewing, people like Tim Ferriss, people like Jay Shetty, people, Tony Robbins, all these individuals basically, even for some of my friends who are also athletes and, everyone like bodybuilders and people that I hope to bring them to the forefront and really to give them the kind of shout out and accolades that they deserve, but more so for the common person, the person at home that's wanting to get into shape, wanting to get that promotion on their job, wanting to live their dream life and go travel the world and finally take the step they need to, or finally start that business, whatever that it is. I want to be able to have this podcast to help you to take things to the next level and finally take the big leap that you need to, like I'm doing. So, I want to wrap things up with, I'm so excited. This is our first episode and many more to come. So tune in if you want to learn more, and get notified for more episodes and everything. Click the link in the bio. I will be coming out with new episodes each and every week, typically either on Monday or Tuesday, just to kind of keep you guys informed, and also when I get a chance to be able to interview other individuals that are kind of within the similar space that I am. So look forward to seeing you. It's our first episode. I'm super stoked and excited. I got plenty more stories and plenty more content and things I'm going to get into. So we'll see you again.